You want to burn fat? You want to build muscle? Has the sword of Athena to the clouds.
How is it that Mike doesn't know all the negative side effects and would make this video? And notice, there is no update video. There is no, hey guys, I just wanted to point out that the trials are actually in and this happened and this happened, and that original video that I posted, well, there's actually a lot of negative. I don't see it. And so I have to make this video. Had to. And you can say, oh, it's the beef is back. It's not the beef. It's doing what's right. Coach Greg, in today's video, it's very serious because Mike Israetel, he put out a video and it says, the end of steroids, new muscle drugs are here. And this video right now has over 2 million views. And so I don't know if Mike Israetel is potentially an investor, a silent partner, if he has some kind of financial stake in this, because I watched the video and I'm sorry to say, it's bullshit. Now, this is not a vendetta against Mike. This is not a, oh, the beef is back. It's me trying to share with the world the true and actual and real, clear and present dangers of using said products. And so millions of people, over 2 million people, are thinking, this is unbelievable. Fairly soon from now, we're going to be able to use these drugs and we're going to be able to take them with no real side effects, and we'll have way more muscle and less fat. And so it's the miracle drug that we've all been waiting for. And I'm here to tell you, it's anything but that. It's way more dangerous than you can imagine. And so I was hoping he was going to be talking about Turk Builder Max or perhaps Turk Platinum. But lo and behold, it's not. So, I mean, Mike, have you not tried Turk Builder yet? I mean, I know he wants to try the miracle drugs of the future, but the closest we come is Turk Builder Max right now. And no, it doesn't come with horrendous side effects that come with the medications he's about to describe.
Acne, increased body hair, which I know nothing about, worse lipid profile, not good, potential strain on the liver in some cases, definitely increases in aggression and anxiety.
And so the first thing you need to know is the drug that he's talking about, it actually does cause suppression. Garticimab, it's going to shut you down. You can't just take garticimab and say, oh, my testicles, they're going to be normal. My testosterone levels will stay at 800 and I'll just magically grow 15 pounds of muscle and lose all this fat. It's not true.
Because the brilliant minds at the Regeneron Pharmaceuticals Corporation have just such a drug, and they have published research about it, and I want to tell you all about this drug until I'm just salivating about it.
Had multiple conversations with GPT-4 that brought me to literal tears.
And so is Mike being compensated for this video? Is Regeneron Pharmaceuticals helping him out in some way? I just don't understand how we could make this video and talk about all the benefits, but not go through all of the horrible side effects. Did he not read the studies? Did he like glance over it and skip out all the bad stuff? I mean, we looked at it, myself, my brother, editor Steve Barwan, we looked at it. And unfortunately, it wasn't what it's cracked out to be. When I first watched this video, I thought, oh, wow, this is amazing. I can't wait. But upon deep diving and learning more about it, I couldn't believe how bad it actually is. And so in no way is this going to be some drug that's going to be available in a couple of years. There's no way you'll be able to use this.
In fact, it's not just one drug. It's a combo drug therapy. It's two drugs at the same time. Travagramab, good luck saying that one, and garetosmab, good luck saying that one also.
And so travagramab and graviprumab. I butchered it. I don't give a shit because it's irrelevant if I can pronounce the name. What's important is you understand how horrendous the dangers are.
I'm getting serious. This is a horrible video. I don't know what possessed Mike to make this video and not give two shits about the proper information. And so it's not a Coach Greg versus Mike beef. It's a Coach Greg trying to correct the horrible disservice he did to the community.
So yeah, I couldn't pronounce the word, but I know how bad it actually is. And so y'all know when you use the semaglutides, Ozempic, and so on, that you lose a lot of muscle. It sucks. Well, first of all, you're probably losing all that muscle because you're not eating enough protein, you're not training in the gym, and so on. But imagine if they could make a drug. You take this drug and you combine that with Ozempic, and lo and behold, You keep all of your muscle and or you even build it. Well, wouldn't every bodybuilder want that? I can take this drug and add that drug and take this drug too. And to counter that drug, I'll take this drug and I'm going to be a Mr. Olympia and maybe I won't even have to go to the gym. That's what everyone wants. And so Mike makes it look like these drugs are just the best thing in the world. And so the first thing you need to know is this. If you exercise and put the fork down, do what Coach Greg's been preaching for decades, you're going to lose weight and you're going to get healthier. Your heart improves. The risk of developing all the diseases and disorders and so on, it's going to go down. You're going to build muscle. You're going to feel better. But if instead of doing that, you just take the drug, I want the short take. I want Ozempic. You take that, you're going to lose muscle, and you're not going to live as long as the person who does the cardio. And so did you all know that if you take a GLP-1, for example, Ozempic, that your resting heart rate, it's actually going to go up, but if you lose weight by doing cardio, your resting heart rate is going to go down. But all you guys care about is the number on the scale. Did it go up or did it go down? Did you lose fat, muscle? I don't care. I lost weight. And so you take these drugs. You don't go to the gym. You just take the drugs and you don't care. And so the actual problem is people eat too much food, as in calories, and they don't move enough. That is the problem. That is the number one reason we have all these problems in healthcare. If more people moved and ate less, we'd save billions or perhaps trillions of dollars. But the world doesn't want that. They want the magic pill. And so GLP, please give one to me. Just because you take one of those doesn't mean you're going to become a heck of a lot healthier.
Work by reducing the activity of myostatin and activin A. Myostatin and activin A, their predominant roles in skeletal muscle are to cap, to hold down, to reduce how much muscle you grow.
And so pause it right there. That is not the only role of activin A. And so activin A, what it also does is it causes the body to produce FSH, which is responsible for producing sperm, which is allowing us to reproduce as a human species. And so kind of important, wouldn't you say? And so if you decide to go on these drugs, well, you don't ever want to have kids.
You take drugs or alcohol? What is drugs?
Going to make you infertile. And so let us not forget that. And so if one of the main side effects of this, aside from helping to build muscle, is, well, you can't reproduce as a species, well, maybe you should be careful in promoting that drug. Maybe, just maybe, mention that if you take this drug, you probably never have kids. Let's start with that.
So these new drugs uncap your body's natural potential for muscle growth.
And so it uncaps the potential for building muscle. Now, I want my biceps to get bigger, my quads, my delts, but what about my heart? If you take this drug and your heart gets bigger, you could develop an enlarged heart. This could take decades away from your life. And so just because it allows you to build bigger biceps doesn't mean it's something that you want. If building bigger biceps comes at the same risk of developing a larger heart, well, you're not going to want to use that drug. I'm sorry, but if you take it, you're likely going to die a lot sooner.
How well do they do it? Well, good news. We have an incredibly well-conducted research study by Regeneron Pharmaceuticals from their pre-stage 1 clinical trials.
And so remember, these are pre-stage clinical trials, not actual trials, not phase 1, phase 2, and so on, and certainly not with humans, but with rats and monkeys.
What occurred? We have a graph for you right here. Pause the video and look at the graph for a while. I'm going to explain it.
Look at this graph!
And so, yeah, we get it. It worked. It helped them to lose more fat and to build more muscle. Yay. Amazing. And so at the time of this recording, perhaps Mike didn't know this, but there were actually human trials. Humans had actually used this. And so Mike chose to not report the horrible side effects that were experienced. Perhaps he didn't know about these studies, but they were available at the time. And so with the semaglutide only, 2% had negative side effects. 2%. It's 1 out of 50. But while using all these drugs in combination, all three, it was 10%. A 5-fold increase in horrible side effects. And so just to make this clear, this is 10% had a severe adverse side effect. Severe. Not an upset stomach, not bloating, not a little bit of nausea. serious adverse findings, permanent disability, prolonged hospitalization, or get this, even death. This is the serious adverse 10%, 1 in 10 chance this can and will happen. And this compares to only 2% in semaglutide only. And so a 5-fold increase in serious adverse effects. How many think that they're going to legalize a drug where 10% of the people could potentially die or end up with a permanent disability or have to go to the hospital for perhaps months on end? Would you take that drug? 1 out of 10 chance of getting this. And remember, that is just in shorter durations. This wasn't a study done for years. Imagine you take this drug for 10 years. Imagine you develop that enlarged heart. What happens down the road? These were things that were discovered within weeks. Now, perhaps you don't understand numbers and stats and so on, but when you do a study, certain people, they have to pull out. And I'm not talking about all over a stomach. They have to pull out of actually doing the trial for whatever reason. They're so sick they can't handle it. Perhaps they're going to die, whatever. With the semaglutide, about 4% had to pull out. 4%, 1 in 25. It's not great, but it's not horrible. People that did all 3 of these drugs, 28.3%. It's more than a quarter. It's almost a third. And so imagine if all those people that pulled out had kept going. Would they have died? Would they have been hospitalized? Imagine how dangerous this really is. And so when you have a product that's that dangerous, do you think that the FDA is going to legalize it? Let me think. When I was younger, about 25 years ago, I used to use something called ephedrine. But there was perhaps a 1 in a million chance that you could die from this. And so they banned it. 1 in a million chance. This stuff is 10%. 10% serious adverse events. Imagine they legalize it. Yeah, you go to the drugstore, you get some Tylenol, and 1 out of 10 people are going to end up in the hospital. Do you think they would legalize Tylenol if it was really that dangerous? I can't think of anything this dangerous. This is more dangerous than alcohol. It's more dangerous than, for example, sniffing creatine. It's more dangerous than all that. Why do you think drugs like that are banned? And so there's another study. They gave them a similar drug, very similar to this. They gave it to people who are diabetic. And lo and behold, it worked. They lost fat. They built muscle. Amazing, right? And so they got an activin A inhibitor, and here were the results. And so this group, they lost over 20% of their fat mass and improved over 3% of their muscle. But their A1C, it only went down by 0.76. This is very, very small. For having lost that much weight, their diabetes, it didn't really improve. I mean, slightly, but why so little? With those kind of changes, it should have been through the roof. Remember, this was over 48 weeks, and so it had plenty of time for the A1C to improve. And so to give this drug to diabetics, while it's not improving their diabetes, although it's perhaps improving the way they look, you gotta wonder, what exactly is it doing to their body? I mean, they could have improved more by taking berberine or metformin. And so how do you lose all this weight, 48 weeks, and not become significantly healthier in comparison? If they had went for a walk a couple times a week, they probably would have improved significantly more. And so why is the drug improving their ability to lose fat and build muscle, but not improving their diabetes? Very, very dangerous. This is how I see it, just so you can understand my perspective. If you lose all the weight, let's say you lose 50 pounds of fat, and your diabetes doesn't improve, then it really technically hurts you, because what happens if you regain all that weight? You lose the 50 pounds, and your diabetes is pretty much consistent, but what if you go off the drug and you gain the 50 pounds back? Are you now 25% worse? That is how I'm thinking. And so how do you lose all this weight and not become healthier? I mean, everyone knows that if you lose weight, your blood pressure goes down, you're gonna live longer. You take this drug and you lose the weight and you're not healthier. That's bad. Now, although it makes you look better, it's doing something in the body that it shouldn't be doing that's causing you not to live a long and healthy life. And so that scares me. And so is this drug simply compensating for the fact that it's making you unhealthier, but because you've lost weight, it's evening it out?
that semaglutide and tirzepatide and soon to be retatrutide and all these weight loss drugs are phenomenal for helping people lose weight, but they don't really help you retain muscle. And now a lot of people losing weight and they're getting skinny and they have less muscle and they're getting all these health effects and all these cosmetic effects they don't like.
And so, yeah, Mike, we get it. If it was all positive and had none of these side effects, it'd be amazing. I mean, if there was no growth of the heart, if the heart couldn't get bigger, if there wasn't 28% of people pulling out, if there weren't 10% who had serious adverse effect, if it wasn't 5 times as dangerous as semaglutide. Problem is, it is. And so why aren't we mentioning that? And so here's my problem. Bodybuilders are going to watch Mike Israetel's video. Out of the 2+ million, there's going to be hundreds or perhaps thousands that are going to somehow manage to procure this. They're going to buy it somewhere on some illegal peptide site or whatever. And it's going to say, hey, it's not for human consumption. Don't use it. Then some teenager like Logan or perhaps an older guy like Togi or, social media influencers are going to say, hey, I tried it. I used it. And they're going to brag about how amazing it is. And then they're going to have a discount code. They're going to say, use code this or that, and you get 10% off. And then they're going to get a cut. And they're going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably 6 figures a month, selling these things. And you're going to use it, and then you're going to die. That is what happens because bodybuilders, they don't give a shit. You say, I have a better drug out there than Tren. And they say, oh, but what are the side effects? Well, there's a 10% chance that you could die. And they say, yep, I want it. They don't think rationally, especially when they're abusing Tren. I mean, think of it. Even Mike Israetel, he's a very smart guy. He knows what's going on, but yet he still wants to get these surgeries. He's still putting his health at risk. He still wants to use the steroids. And so if Mike in his 40s, who knows better, is still willing to do this, what about that 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old? They're going to use these drugs hoping, hey, I will be the next C-Bum, the next Sam Sulik.
Mega steroids for someone who's never taken steroids before, except with 0 androgenic side effects, no hair growth, no voice deepening, no aggression.
And so he says, hey, you can use this. You're going to be better than steroids. You're not going to get a deep voice. It's not going to do this. It's not going to do that. Did he mention it'll make you infertile or the potential damages to your heart or that it hasn't been studied in humans long enough to see the potential dangers? The amount of people that have to drop out of the studies for serious adverse events. I don't feel that this presentation was neutral. He could have explained these are the pros and these are the cons. You make your own decisions. And so when doing these studies, don't you think they should be testing everything rather than just what makes it seem cool? The muscle building and the fat loss. Oh, that's cool. We want that. But what about ventricular wall thickness of the heart? Do you not want to know that? Or what about fertility? What about all the other adverse side effects? I mean, we're just examining, does it help you to burn fat and build muscle? Wow, it did. Yes, but at what cost?
What did it cost?
Everything.